Thank you. Oop, now we're being recorded, so I'll have to repeat that. 2 days after my birthday. And I'm here to remind you that you are a magnificent, unique, and radiant aspect of the divine. Welcome to everybody here in the sanctuary and there out in Zoom land. Today we feature Robert Travis, known to all of us simply as Travis, as our speaker about private boundaries, which is an intriguing topic. And I'm going to get into some announcements here, but first of all, our mission here at Fellowship is to positively affect our world by extending peace, love, spirituality, understanding, and friendship to all people with grace and gratitude. Our vision is to be a spiritual center of awakening the I am Christ consciousness, and we all are that I am. As far as, I think what we'll do is go ahead with our prelude, which is being brought to us by Shay Johnson and her beautiful music. I turn it over to you, Shay.
All right, this is in the Brown Hymnal, number 178. I am love, 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 pure love. I am light, 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 pure light. I am peace, 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 pure peace. I am joy, 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 pure joy. I am love, 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 pure love.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, so next I'm going to give a couple of announcements.
Can't hear you, Steve.
Next, I'm going to give a couple of announcements. Can you hear me now?
Barely.
Barely. Boy, we need.
Oh, I hear you fine.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Now it's better.
Oh, okay. So, next Sunday, we have potluck after church since it's the first Sunday of the month. And there will be potluck. Bring a favorite dish and join us for food and fellowship. Further on in the month, we're going to have our spring solstice celebration and picnic at Kiwanis Park on Friday, June 20th. I believe from 4 to 7 or 8 p.m., something like that.
5 to 8.
5 to 8, okay.
If we have
Anyway.
it from 4 to 8, but most people don't get there till 5-ish.
Yeah, so, and I think that's all I've got right now.
We will be providing brisket and brats.
Briskets and brats, yes, I remember that decision.
Everybody
Yum.
else needs to bring something to share.
And we also have a sign-up sheet for the various other menu items, including salads and side dishes and stuff. So we're filling that out as we go. Okay, and we also have classes and groups here at the hall. We have book study earlier this morning before service, 8:45 to 9:45 a.m. We just finished our last book, which was The Direct Way, about the Course in Miracles, and we're contemplating starting a new book, which is Qigong for Beginners. I said it right. How about
You did.
that? Finally. By David Kuhn. And it's not a long book, and I think that it would really help us kind of unite around one of our newer speakers. We have Course in Miracles tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m., facilitated by Susan Barnes, who may or may not be there since she's so busy with her move. And then Margaret Cheesebro features Power of 8 at 6:30 p.m. on Thursdays. And I would like to make a commitment that I'm going to be there more often, Margaret. So thank you. Thank you for your
It
service.
would be nice if more people joined us.
We have the children here today? No? Okay. Huh? Oh, she'll be back. So we will have the children today. Okay, very good. Okay, so now we have the opening prayer, which I have got here on my personal device. If I can figure out where it is, I think I can. And I'm going to open with a very famous prayer, prayer of St. Francis. Lord, and I'm going to change the pronouns. Lord, make us an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let us sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O Divine Master, grant that we may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. And it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen. Okay, so now we have Shay doing a song, a prayer, another prayer, a song called Prayer for Protection.
Not that one. God always helps,
God
number
always helps.
112.
Okay, never mind. Yeah, there we go.
These words I inwardly repeat when trials seem too hard to meet, when thoughts of doubt rise in the way, I look them in the face and say, God always helps our way, He guides, and His dear love each day provides. His blessings round about us flow. O world, lift up your head and know God always helps. And when my path I cannot see, and nothing is revealed to me, I know I do not need to fear. I stand and wait for mist to clear. God always helps our way, He guides, and His dear love He God and know God always helps.
Thank you, Shay. Yes, God does indeed always help. Okay, so now we have our reflection moment. And repeat with me in Midge's words. Love produces a flow of energy that I now feel. I love others more than ever, and I am privileged to be here. Love flows from one person to another as we create an atmosphere of holiness, and so it is. Okay, and I'm going to present the spiritual reading also. Which is here on this device somewhere. I can remember where I put it. It's going to be okay. And there we go. Okay, and this is from yesterday's Science of Mind daily guide. And it's called Wholeness Beyond Dualism. Beyond the pairs of opposites of which the world consists, other new insights begin. That's from Hermann Hesse, one of my favorite teenage and beyond authors. I highly recommend his writing. We are bound by nothing except belief. And that's from Ernest Holmes. One of the concepts discussed in Buddhism is non-attachment, not clinging to our thoughts, ideas, and emotions. According to these teachings, such attachments lead to suffering. A good example might be a teeter-totter or a fulcrum. If our thoughts, words, or actions swing wildly to one side, there is a corresponding opposite reaction on the other side that sets us off balance. That space between two extremes, like the thin curved line in yin and yang symbol mentioned yesterday, is not easy to see at times. We don't always understand, for example, the perspectives and viewpoints that differ drastically from our own. Being able to maintain our equilibrium, the balance found between opposing forces, is referred to as living the middle way in Buddhism. Living the middle way means we embrace the whole of existence, not the extremes found in individual parts. Like Holmes, we believe that life, God, spirit, and the universe contain all. By expanding our vision, we can learn to see beyond apparent dualities. We might do so through prayer and meditation. We might do so through the knowledge gained from books, from exposure to other cultures, or from teachings of spiritual masters. With practice and insight, we learn to accept the whole of life, the sorrows, the joys, the losses, and the celebrations. In time, we come to know more deeply that our divinity is wholeness, our love, and our very existence is all. The affirmation is, I expand my mind, I expand my heart, I expand my vision, I expand my love.
Beautiful.
You're welcome. Thank you. And I have some strange feeling that this might cue into our talk today a little bit. Okay, and now we have Shay.
And now the
Doing-
prayer of protection.
Now it's this prayer for protection.
The light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God protects me. The presence of God watches over me. God watches over us wherever we are. God is.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Shay. Okay. I'm going to introduce Robert here. I wish I had your bio with me, but I know a little bit. I know that you were very active in overseas in Russia and with Susan in Durango, and have been with Fellowship for a very long time. One of our dual presenters. You've both been here presenting and on Zoom, so you always have something very timely to give us, and I'm really intrigued by private boundaries because I'm kind of struggling with some of those myself. So I present Travis, as we all know him, with his talk.
Well, I'm feeling like I better really step up and warrant your intrigue. Uh, and because this is an interesting gig this time around, because well, it's kind of short notice. I thought I canceled 3 weeks ago, but it didn't take. It
Oh,
didn't take. So I was asked for a topic 3 or 4 days ago, and interesting that just last Tuesday morning. See, I've been kind of getting more involved with um, some of the activities at the Huntington Beach Center for Spiritual Living, and they're kind of a sister community because the founder of Huntington Beach, um, uh, the Reverend Dr. Peggy Bassett, actually took her classes at Seal Beach when she was becoming a minister. So we're kind of linked together. Anyway, so Tuesday morning we have a discussion group on Zoom, and Reverend Patty Mercado wanted to direct a lot of our discussion to be a follow-up to her Sunday message last week on boundaries. And so we talked a lot about boundaries, and some of those are not not particularly private, but more, when we establish boundaries, they're at least personal. And I just couldn't help but think of this guy that I met in Sochi when I was living in Sochi, Russia, that wanted to get together with me and talk, and he was right here and smoking a cigarette. And I would back up and he would follow me. And I'm going, where did he learn to converse in this fashion? And I finally had to tell him, we're not going to talk anymore if you have to be that close because it's unpleasant. I find your cigarettes the smell and the smoke to be unpleasant. We're not, so he finally got the message. That was the first thing that jumped out at me. But after a while, I shared that on the subject of boundaries, what was coming up for me also was the behaviors and the ways of being in the world that, like, the ideal that I would like to achieve and how I actually am, and that I cross my own boundaries, um, and those are transgressions against my agenda on my spiritual path, and that those are very important to me, and they're almost like resolutions uh, that I make, like guidelines on how I want to allow myself to behave, and I cross those boundaries when I fall short of those goals and those intentions. So so I'm going to be utilizing something that I may have sent to you before to share, and it is it's called the mental fast from my Tuesday night healing teacher. And his healing fast is really comprehensive in in that it stands as what he expects or suggests that we use as daily resolutions. Forget New Year's resolutions. They tend to they go the way of winter way before winter's over usually, but these are daily resolutions, pledges, and actually it's called the mental fast because the pledge is to fast from those behaviors. So I'll go through those and see what they bring up because I suspect that a number of them will, and I'll take my time because I think that a number of them will bring up things for each one of you. And speaking of each one of you, by the way, I want to say thank you, Shay, for serving in that capacity. I have not been witness to it until today, and I'm so appreciative that you are there. So now I'll begin with these pledges that constitute the mental fast. And here's a really big one right from the get-go. I pluck out of my own eye and heart the desire or need to judge any person at all. And how often does that come up for me to like remember that pledge? I'm sure I'm not the only one. Um, and there are particular political figures that I see on television, and and I find myself having the tendency to judge. These are long-standing habits that I'll say we, but let's make it, I'm making it personal. You could say I in your own mind if you wish, but I want to refrain from judging any person at all. In fact, I had this old name tag that I used to be able to clip on my shirt, the old-fashioned kind that clips on, and I put a piece of paper in there that says, "Put no person out of your heart." And it hangs by my front door to remember me as I go out the door, put no person out of my heart. First and foremost, myself. So that's that's a private boundary. That's my business with me and how I want to be in the world. He goes on to say with another one, I cancel spoken words and statements that I know are not nice, kind, loving, and true. Well, I have a lot of vocabulary, the utilization of which is not consistent with that. And I use some of that vocabulary more often than I should, and especially with crazy drivers on the road uh, and so on. So that there's another boundary. That is a great boundary, is it not? I mean, spoken words and statements that I know are not nice, kind, loving, and true shall not be made by me. That's a boundary which I don't want to cross. And all these are boundaries that if we were able to adopt them, if we were able to adopt all of them, we would really change the way, I would really change the way that I am in the world. Another one, I clean my environment of all images that tempt me to make wrong choices, which could sabotage my dream, success, or prayer demonstration. I clean my environment of all images that tempt me. I think that the most, the riskiest image is the television. I turn it on and I get stuck. Anyway, um, yeah, we don't need the temptations if we can get temptations out of our environment, that's all for the better. And oh, he also says there, I reject all foods, drugs, and substances that I know are detrimental in any way. And I find that I can't do that with the stuff that's already in my house that I would be better not to consume. I have to reject those things at the grocery store and not put them in my house. And so anyway, another valuable boundary. And I've got several more here. I resist the habit of living in feelings from the past. I live only in the present. And that is touching upon the habit. The habit is, and I think most of us know this by now, the habit is that which shows up as a reaction. The way that I've always responded to certain energies, words, or other actions by other people, or even myself. Uh, I drop something on the floor and break it. The reaction, the habit, my habitual reaction is to have some choice terms for myself. But living only in the present allows me to make a response, to choose a different way of of responding to an old situation where in the past I would misbehave, but now I can make that choice because instead of living in the past and letting a habit take control, I can I can make a different choice. I sometimes think of those uh, long established neural pathways in the brain, that that are those habits that result in our reactions where we're not really making a choice, but we're doing the same old counterproductive or dysfunctional reaction to something going on. I think of those neural pathways as like y- I don't know about Farmington so much, but in Durango, a lot of the county roads, especially if you start going up into the mountains in the springtime and the snow's melting and it gets real muddy and vehicles make tracks in the road that get very deep. And then when it freezes overnight, if you get in one of those some of those ruts, it's like you can't steer out of them. It's like you may as well be driving a car on a Disneyland ride. The steering wheel doesn't work. I feel like that's sometimes how the habits are with us. I think, well, we need to bring in a road grader, and just smooth out all those dysfunctional neural pathways so they're not working anymore. Wouldn't that be nice? So, another one is I refrain from talking about the past, realizing that my every word is creative now. And that's something I hear people do. They may talk about the past as to something that happened yesterday or 25 years ago. And words are creative. Uh, I have I have learned, I think I've learned this one pretty well. I don't often tell stories about the past that have the effect of validating the pain, validating the experience, attaching it attaching it to reality of this moment by telling the story again. And every word is creative, so better to stay in the present and watch myself as to like what is my intention, what am I accomplishing, to my detriment or whatever by telling stories of the past that were unpleasant, unwanted. And we go on to the next one. I refuse to allow the talk of others to cause me to see what does not exist. It can be a news commentator. Uh, it can be anybody else that is caught up in the world of appearances. What does not exist? Talking about another person in terms of their behavior as if that behavior is a commentary on their character and their worth. And I think we know in this community that we want to see a person beyond appearances, beyond behavior, and know that there's a child of God, even if that other person doesn't know it themselves. We observe behavior on the part of another person, and if they have never known that they're a child of the Most High, or if they've known it but they're forgetting it at the time, I'm a healing presence if I remember the truth about that person. Very often, people are talking about someone, and all of their dialogue is a radical departure from what I know to be the truth about that person. So I refuse to allow the talk of others to cause me to see what does not exist. That is a, what is the title of this talk? Not a border, but
Boundary.
a boundary. There you go, folks. That's a boundary that I draw, and I want to step away. Going on, I dismiss all negative, silent chatter in my mind, and I give it no time to take root. Negative, silent chatter in my mind. Stuff like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. Stuff like, this is too difficult. I don't know if this, or will this never pass? Whatever it may be. Uh, uh, we want to take the high road and turn our backs on negative, silent chatter. Another boundary. Put that stuff behind me. I stop my mind from seeing the glass half empty, but I see the glass always half full instead. Mm. How many times have we thought that something that happened in our experience was dreadful? Uh, well, oh, I'm thinking of when, okay, I'm not going to get into the details. I might have shared it before. Really prime example is I really got screwed by the what was supposed to be my lawyer in Cheyenne, Wyoming, on the Air Force base there, and I should not have been busted down. I was about ready to become a sergeant, and I got busted down to no stripes. And at the time, this is 1970, I took a hit of like, I don't know, $150 a month. That was a lot of money then, you know. And it was a horrible, regrettable thing. And yet, to avoid getting other than an honorable discharge, I volunteered for a new program that was designed to work with people to keep them in the service instead of discharging them. And I met a fellow there in that program that was from Tech. He had been stationed in Texas, and he had friends from Texas. This might sound really unexpected, but those Texans would come to Durango. And they actually moved there. When he got out of the service, they all moved to Durango, and he was the reason I moved to Durango, the reason why I met a friend whose wife invited me to go with them to the Church of Religious Science the first time. And so that, and where I met Susan and Randy. So which one was I talking about? Negative silent chatter in my mind? Oh, seeing the glass half empty, I see it half full instead. And so now I do that more readily. I see, I'm confronted with the option in a new experience happening today, happening in my daily walk, a new experience that where it would be really, really easy to see the glass half empty. But we know better. We know it's better to say, what could be the blessing in this? What have I to learn? How can this advance my understanding of myself and my relationship with life? And go forward seeing the glass half full, meaning that there is something of value here for me, and my lesson is to understand what it is. Here's another one. I eliminate people from my life who knowingly hurt me physically or mentally. Well, I was going over this, preparing for the talk, and I thought, what do you mean knowingly? What difference does that make? What if I said I eliminate people from my life who hurt me physically or mentally, unknowingly or not? And what that brought up for me was, God, one of my early uh, major episodes with boundaries, and this has to do with parents and children. And it made me reflect. Remember that some of you are old enough to remember many decades ago when the book that was all the rage was I'm okay, you're okay. Transactional stuff with pa parent child. There was all these different categories for behavior and communication and the way boundaries would be set. Different parent child from adult. And and one thing I realized in thinking about that was that boundaries can shift. And while boundaries are shifting, if one person struggles with the boundary being moved, then we get some conflict, some confrontation. Because I was thinking about my mother, who, by all accounts, was the most wonderful, just delightful woman. But we're at our worst sometimes in our families and the patterns there. That's why Ram Dass said, if you think you're enlightened, go spend the holidays with your family. And you'll find out that maybe you're not as enlightened as you thought. So anyway, that brings it up. So my mother, rightfully was in charge of what I was allowed to do for many, many years. And she was very invested in the way I went about my life and so on. And I remember being 31, living in Durango, and her calling me up on the phone and starting to lecture me. And I'd try to cut her off, and I couldn't do it, and I'd hang up the phone. I just hang up the phone. No, I'm not. This is no longer parent-child. And I think now we all have families, and you may see that this issue comes up between generations in your families, between some members of, and I think it's because the parents resist that the boundary shifts when it goes from parent-child to adult-adult. 31 years old, I'm not going to tolerate the same old lectures that for which I was a captive audience when I was a kid. I'm not going to do that anymore. And so finally she got it. It took a number of hang-ups. In fact, she'd call right back. So then I started hanging up the phone, and after a couple seconds, then take it off the hook and leave it off. Remember phones that were off the hook? I don't, well, we do that now. We can still do that with our cell phones. But that's a really valuable um, uh, reframing for me and for her to understand that while I might be thought of still by her as her little boy, that in a practical sense, this is an adult-adult relationship. I only showed up as her boy for a while in this thing, the narrow version is that I started life in this family and she brought me here. But the wider version is I am eternal spirit and I came here cast in the role as her son to see, to have perfect opportunities to learn, not only myself, but both of us to learn what we have to learn next. And as we go through life, those boundaries can shift and need to shift, or else we get that kind of confrontation. I terminate conversations with others quickly who speak despairingly of others. And yes, I find that I'm doing this. That's another boundary that, like, if I'm within close range of that kind of conversation, I'm going to walk away. On the other side of the coin, there's another one that says, I wipe my slate clean as I forgive and release my own bitter deeds and words. Oh no, this is not my own. Okay, I wipe my slate clean as I forgive and release the bitter deeds and words of others. Forgiveness and release, forgiveness and release. Don't hold on to that stuff. How many times do we take things personal because it's the other person's stuff? It generates their way of talking to me and other people, their way of being in the world. It's not about me, it's about how they are. People are just doing as well as they can do. And if it's not good enough for me, I don't have to be there for it. I can forgive and release and roll on down the road. I purge, now this is the one I thought I was getting to. I purge my mind of guilt and memories of my own words or deeds that may have hurt others. That can be a big one. And I don't know if my work with that is done. I had a lady attending the lecture that I did in the city of Izhevsk in Russia in December of 1991. This lady said, there is something I did in my life that I could never forgive myself for it. Could never ever forgive myself for it. And what I came up with was this. We have to love ourselves here and now. It's indicated by the words, love your neighbor as yourself. As yourself indicates love of self as the template for how you can be in relationship with other people. I love myself. The song, if you heard the song, I love myself the way I am. There's nothing I need to change, even though I love myself the way I am, but still I want to grow. But to love myself the way I am, there's nothing I need to do first. Because if I have something I have to fix before I love myself now, then there's always going to be something else. I can fix this. Oh, no, I still have to do this before I love myself. No, that doesn't work. I love myself the way I am, here and now, unconditional. And then my I said, this has always been true of you, of me, of everyone. This has always been true. You have to go back in time and love yourself the way you were at any time. That's what healing the inner child is about. If there was a challenge with a lack of love, we're called upon to go back and love that child up that was struggling and challenged at a younger age. And so to say that I could never forgive myself, that's not an option. I love myself the way I am. I extend that to who I've always been because at any point in time in my life, I was doing the best I could. Everybody is doing the best they can right now, and always have been. Because if they could do better, they would. Everybody wants, there's no one who has an agenda not to do better. That's just silly. So I rebuff any and all thoughts that I know hinder my spiritual unfoldment. Any thoughts, any and all thoughts. Some of us are getting older. We're experiencing the accumulated effects, the accumulating results of the misuse of mind, of allowing ourselves to have negative chatter, negative dialogue, judgments, criticism, all that negative stuff which degrades our immune systems. We've got those accumulated effects. So, well, what I'm going to close with here is at the top of this mental fast. I pray and I fast. I don't stop. I don't give up. I don't quit. And that's one thing I'm doing with a mantra now that I'm doing is sometimes I'm struggling because I'm needing to meet some physical challenges and rise to a higher level and do a better job at proving what Jesus said that these things I do, you can do too. I'm proving his words. I'm taking that serious. I don't quit. What is impossible for men is possible with God. And in reference to the demons that Jesus was casting out, this is a quote from the Bible, this kind goes out not except by prayer and fasting. And so like this, I fast. I fast from these behaviors. All these pledges are behaviors that are boundaries I establish for myself of what my behavior can be, what I want it to be, and what things I do not want to allow myself. And so, like this, I fast from these behaviors. And I will resend this to you if you want this mental fast. I have it in my laptop. I think I might have sent it to you before, but since I've highlighted it, like this for my talk this morning, I'll make that available to you. And for now, I want to say, am I closing now? Yes, I'm complete. And so it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Travis. Well, I got some takeaways from that. I mean, it looks to me like boundaries are a good thing. I like the idea of mental fasting because I'm kind of a pseudo expert at physical fasting, so I can kind of key right into that. And seeing a row of boundaries not to cross, I can kind of keep the idea of straight and narrow. So, and it keys right into what we've been studying in our book study and living in the present. So I thank you very much for giving us that. And yes, I'm interested in your list. I will go ahead and send you an email you can reply to, and I'll make it available to the rest of fellowship here. So that'd be a great thing. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to tell Travis?
That's quite a beard you're growing there, Travis.
Oh yeah, it's a great looking beard, guy.
Oh, it's the remnant from when I was skiing in February. You know, it used to be up in here too.
Right. Right. No, it fits you very nicely.
Well,
So,
thank you. It's part of I'm trying to be a wise man. Why is wise man different from wise guy? Well, anyway,
yeah, I think that's all I'll ever be is a wise guy. But but yeah, thanks again for being here on Zoom and for your coming to fellowship and being an inspiration to us and helping us with our current path, which is modernizing and reaching out and kind of we're in a chrysalis stage right now. And I heard something interesting about the metamorphosis of a caterpillar to a butterfly. When they go into the chrysalis, they turn into a bunch of goo, and the goo has to reform and reshape and realign to turn them from being, a worm into a winged insect. And
and the cells that direct that activity, if I remember the term correctly, because when we were going through a transition in our center, our temporary minister, who he goes around to be a ministerial presence for centers that like don't have a minister anymore. And I think he talked about this, that we're in a chrysalis stage, and he said that I think he's called them imaginable cells. The root is imagine, but imaginable cells, I think, is what the term is for the cells that direct this to what is yet to be.
well, I think imaginable is better than unmanageable, which is the way some of us sometimes feel. But hey, we're
Okay.
going
Well, the
through it.
caterpillar would always say, I don't know if I can manage this.
That's right. That's right. So, well, anyway, thanks for your help and your talk, and I'll send you that email, and we'll get further on with this.
Okay.
Again, it's been great. Okay, so our next is a song from Shay
Steve,
called
Steve, can you ask somebody to go in and let the kids know it'll be a couple of minutes?
Okay, we'll do that. Thank you for the reminder there, Jerry. And so, song number 305, For the Beauty of the Earth. I remember this one.
For the beauty of the earth, for the glory of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies. Lord of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the beauty of each hour of the day and of the night. for parent-child. Love we praise, all things above, gentle, peaceful, calm, and mild. Lord of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise.
Thank you, Shay. We owe my knowledge of that hymn to singing it with Margaret. Thank you, Margaret. Okay, now we're going to have kind of a celebration. Pardon? Yes. Do you have the pen back there? We don't no longer have a place to keep it here. Probably. Could be. Not apparently.
Here it is.
Ah,
Do you have anything? Anybody?
I do. We hold this over our hearts.
Love.
Love,
Divine
divine love, blesses and multiplies all that we have, all that we give, and all that we receive.
Through infinity, I am
we are prosperous. Amen. Okay, so we are ready for the children to come, and the children are under the tutelage of Rhonda Livingston. She leads the group from 10 to 11 a.m. and during the worship service. And if you want to have your child involved, call Rhonda at 716-1824 for details. Anyway, it looks like they're gathering up.
I'll say see you next month.
Thank you, Travis.
Oh, okay, Travis, thank you so much for being here.
Quite welcome. All right, thank you.
Yes.
We're all ready. We're ready.
Today we drew flags on a canvas and we're gonna go put them by Boys and Girls Club by the flagpoles.
All right.
They got all this. I'm gonna be reading a poem for Memorial Day, Our Memories. If we remember those who are gone, then they live again. They are here once more, they smile and speak, just as do living men. So let us give our thoughts to the brave upon this Memorial Day. In spiritual fellowship, let us speak and listen to what they say. For a soldier who died for his country must know much that he could tell. And if we caught the message, it might serve us oft and well. So in our memories, let the dead linger often and long. Recollections of the kind live and are like a springtime song.
Thank you. And thank you so much for the remembrance of Memorial Day. That is today. And you're going to put your flags there at Boys and Girls Club. I bet you there's 1,000 flags in that place. It's truly amazing how they do that every year. So thank you, ladies. Okay, next we have Bill Clark. He's going to give us the word of
Little nugget to live by this week.
Nuggets,
Good morning, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Topic today is fighting too hard. Resistance causes pain and lethargy. when we practice, the acceptance of a new possibility appears. Anonymous. When an obstacle appears in our lives, initially we want to fight it hard. We take a militant approach. We want this problem to be gone. But it isn't, and all our efforts seem futile. And when we recognize we're wearing ourselves out, repeatedly trying the same tactic. Finally, we get a little brain. We come back to acceptance. It feels like we're giving up. We're not. We're just recognizing the reality and being honest with ourselves. Gently, we accept what's in front of us. Then, as if by magic, we see a completely different way around, over, or through the issue. The nugget is, whenever I get feeling that I'm fighting a little too hard, I'll remember to look at the problem and simply accept it what it is. Let's all face our problems, share them, be happy, and have a great week. God bless.
Thank you, Bill.
You're welcome.
All right, so would somebody like to venture a closing prayer? Huh? That was Bill. Yeah, okay. Excuse me. It sounded like words of wisdom, not a prayer. But I guess that's what prayers really are. Yes. Okay, so we are now going to close with our circle with songs. So please gather together with us here.
Are you gonna stay over there today? Okay.
All right, way to go. Okay, 1, 2, 3. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the ocean, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together in unity, and yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it belongs with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as our Father, family all are we. So let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me. Yes, this is the moment now. With every breath I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me.
She's getting too big.
Wow, that was beautiful. That was one of the prettiest ones I've heard us all sing together. Thank you for being in harmony with us here today. This is great. Thank you, and go off and have a wonderful, and next week we have potluck, so. Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
I love you all. I was glad to be here with you.
Oh, she's gonna see her grandma.
Thank you for
There's
being
your
here with
grandma.
us.
We'll see you next week.
Mm.
She's gone. No, she didn't even see you. I'm sorry. We will have to call her, okay? Go. All right, girls, get your flags. Oh my gosh. I love it. Hang it somewhere. Yes. Good. Really great. Hey, get your flags so we can take them. Round trip, we got 5 grand. So.